Hello and welcome to another episode of Arena FPS News, episode number 26. First up, in project updates, we're going to be looking at Reflex EU CTF test. So yesterday we were delightfully treated by Newborn to a EU CTF test, and you played it for the first time. Now I've played it before, so what were your feelings on it?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. So it had the new physics in there, the slightly floatier, I guess that's the word for it, yeah, floatier, slightly floatier physics, which when I first started moving around, I was completely confused. But it was really good after a while. I mean, I don't think it was better, but I don't think it was worse. But then CTF itself was an absolute blast.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I think they're expecting to have quite a lot of people playing it, so I really can't wait for the update. And
yeah, so every time a game ended, I just wanted to play it again. And we played 2 different maps, and they were both really fun to play. And I think it's going to be quite a popular mode when it's out, because I'll be idling in the servers all the time.
Yeah, Newborn was saying how through their testing they've noticed people are really into it, and he thinks that it's good to have a kind of a mode at the forefront of the game which isn't duel, where duel is like very stressful, whereas like with CTF, even if you're not necessarily the best player on the team, you can still have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there's still room for competitive players to build a proper 4-man team and go against other 4-man teams and take it really seriously as well. So it's a nice balance.
Yeah, it's about as hardcore as you want it, I think. So that was cool. And he had some interesting announcements, or kind of he was just chatting around. And one thing that he said, there's going to be Instagib, which I know a lot of people are quite eager for at some point, and a headshot mode as well. So there's going to be some more fun modes coming out for Reflex in the future, but right now it's not a priority, so I think maybe next year we'll see that at some point.
Yeah, I mean right now it's still being picked up mostly by the more hardcore side of Arena FPS players, as opposed to the people from other genres who might want to try it out.
Yeah, I think Instagram CTF might be quite popular, so that could be cool. Right, so shall we move on to the Diabotical Show then?
Yeah, so that was the same day.
Yep.
So there was another show. Lord knows what episode number it is now.
No, I don't know. 16 maybe?
Let's pick a number.
Pick a number between 1 and 20.
So he showed off a new logo again. Some
Yep.
of them looked alright, some of them didn't. He asked people to vote on them. But yeah, I quite like the ones that chat said they liked as well. He showed off some artwork, so there was some quite moody artwork, which looks like it could be quite cool loading screens. He also showed off an image of an egg bot looking at like a giant brain. I mean, how well did man versus machine in TF2 do? Because something like that could be a nice way to get non-arena FPS players in, give them something they can do with their friends, and then through playing the game they might then decide to duel each other or try out another mode.
Don't know what that was, sorry.
Oh, it was like a co-op. You go against a bunch of robots basically.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think bots were always really popular in Quake 3 and UT because people had a shit internet back then. So I think having kind of non-player entities in the game is a good way for newer players to get a bit more confident with the game mechanics before they go into...
In Auckland, everyone was just asking for bots constantly.
Yeah, and if you look at like Dota and League of Legends, a lot of the new players just play against bots exclusively for the first 20 or 30 games just to get used to the game, so I don't think that's terribly and necessarily dissimilar in this regard. So I think that's a good idea. Not that he said this is a bot, but I mean, go do bots.
It could literally just be a picture.
Yeah.
Speculation.
Also, wall sliding was in this build.
Yeah, so that's cool. I really like wall sliding, and UT have got wall sliding in, haven't they?
Yeah.
Tried out recently, which I'm not a fan of UT movement that much, which isn't really a secret, but wall sliding I can get on board with.
Yeah, and we have a map spotlight on a new sliding map coming up, so if you wait around for that, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Subslided. I was trying to get a pun in there, but
Sorry, it's good
shot through the barn door. Yeah, it's gone far enough. We're done. But yeah, we also managed to get a bit of a playtest afterwards, didn't we?
Yeah, there's quite a few people in there.
Yeah, there's about 10, 15, 20 people from... So Diabotical, something they were actually peddling quite hard is this Discord thing, which is... The Reflex community's been using it for a while now. And Hugo, which is also FPSI or FPS Intelligence, wanted to do a bit of a community group for Diabotical. So what they did is they put together this Discord, and it allows them to kind of take suggestions from a smaller group of people and more regular than just a Twitch chat on the actual shows. And I think that's a really positive idea, and it means they can get feedback throughout the week, or if they go a few weeks without having a show, they can continuously get feedback and interest and have a community built around a game rather than just Twitch chat building around a game.
Yeah, it's done quite well as well. There's about 90 people in the Diabotical one.
Yeah,
in the Reflex one, there's... can't even do the maths. There's lots of people. So it's taken off quite nicely.
Yeah, and I think the UT guys are going to do one too. And it's
yeah, I think they are actually.
Yeah, I spoke to Zacubus yesterday about it, and he's keen to have a look at it, so it should be cool. But yeah, we organised this playtest, and it was really fun actually. I mean, obviously the game was very, very alpha. I'll try and get some footage in while we're talking about this, but it was, to me, no matter how alpha a game is, if the ideas behind the game are solid enough, then it'll be fun to play, and you can't really go too wrong with the kind of movement they've got and the kind of weapons they got. So it was not polished in any way whatsoever, but fun.
Yeah, we're on for there for 2 hours and time flew.
Yeah, definitely.
They've also got a thing that he showed in the show where basically as you build a map, it's got auto texturing going on.
Yeah,
so I don't know how it's going to work with different settings and things, but basically a 4-block system where the blocks look different for corner blocks and things like that. And as you can literally just start dragging a big area and it will texture itself with what you've set.
It sounded like the mapping and art side of things is very work in progress at the moment, but maybe I think it was the next 2 weeks he said there'll be a new build out, which the game looks a lot more polished in terms of art. Obviously not finished, but I mean looking more like how the mapper intends it to look. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to more. I mean, I feel like the project's really starting to move along now. He's hired some new guys. He's hired a couple of artists, I think, some interns, mapper, and yeah, the project's really starting to kind of get wheels, so I'm excited for that. Next up we have Insight Ricochet, or Ricochet, if you want to pronounce it incorrectly.
Yeah, so Insight's, I'm really excited about Insight. It's like a little up-and-comer.
Yeah, it's
the guy's not really making any errors. He's kind of just making this game that looks really cool, really interesting, really different, and he's doing quite good progress, and it looks quite nice.
It's kind of funny in a way that he is the underdog in inverted commas. He's a small developer, whereas the other teams only have 2 or 3 people. That's how small some of these developing outfits are. But he's doing it right. He's doing some things the weapons look very simple, but as long as each weapon is, I think I talked about this last week, each weapon is distinguishable, that's fine. And he's doing kind of quite a simplistic art style, but it's stylized enough that it looks good, even though it's quite flat textures and kind of Tron themed. So he's making really good use of his time, I think, and he should be able to get a really good game out of it. So yeah.
So he's implemented a Ricochet mode, which is basically a kind of a casual mode where your rails will bounce off walls and you can pull off loads of crazy little trick shots.
Yeah, yeah.
And same for what we were just talking about with Diabotical and Reflex. It's good to have something casual to sort of get people on board.
Quite one of the main premises about that game is the sight thing with the audio, when you move you make noise.
Yeah.
So coupling that with bouncing shots off corners could be really cool. Even as quite high skill potential mode, I think.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, well that's why I've got the brains, you see. Yeah.
I'm just a pretty face.
Well, but yeah, that wraps up the project updates for the week. Let's move on to the patch up. So there's only been one patch this week, or I think it's been 2 weeks since the last video, but anyway, there's going to be a lot coming up soon, I anticipate. But the one that has been a UT patch, and they've added a couple of maps, one called CTF Quick and one called DM-RGB. And apart from that, it's been mostly just kind of fixes and a few kind of very minor things, mostly fixes, I think, which seems to be how these patch cycles are going with UT, where they do a major patch and a minor patch, then a major patch and a minor patch. But The map they did added called RGB. Again, we're just hyping it up now. It's going to be really disappointing when we actually talk about it. But yeah, RGB is in our Map Spotlight, so you can check that out later. But apart from that, yeah, that's it. UT fixes and a couple of maps. This week we're going to be doing things slightly differently in the tournament section. So there aren't any immediate incoming tournaments. So instead we're going to do a bit of a recap for you. And first of all, I went a little bit American there. We have the NA Cup, talking about American. So BOXR, which consists of Launders, which is a big CSGO player and name, and he does casting for that. And Nathan, who did most of the organisation for this cup, organised an NA Cup, and it was fantastic. Let's put a spoiler alert right now for you guys, because I'm going to tell you the results of the last few games. But the winner was Vu, and he was just like completely dominant. I think he dropped one map the entire tournament. And
who was it to?
I think it was Sane in the winners bracket final. Yeah, it was in a winners bracket final, and then Sane went down to the losers bracket final and had an amazing series versus Guilt. So if you're not intending to watch any of it, like the whole thing, go watch the Sane versus Guilt best of 3. They were just like some of the closest and best Reflex games I've ever seen or cast.
It's on the BOXR YouTube channel.
Yeah, they're great. Go watch it right now. And then the finals was Sane and Vu, and it was a bit of a washout, to be honest, but Vu's just like looking so dominant right now, and I don't think there's anyone in the NA scene that's even close. But yeah, it was a really good tournament. I really enjoyed casting it with Kovac, and we had a quick kind of interview with Vu afterwards, and he gave his thoughts on Reflex and life and everything. Not everything in life, but he gave them thoughts on Reflex. Next up, we have the Tehace EU2 Cup, which was also streamed by BOXR. This one was cast by myself and Quelks, and halfway through we had the delight of Vu coming in and guest casting with us, because unfortunately he couldn't make it to the tournament, and that was really good. It's good to have like a titan of the like Arena FPS history who's won so many tournaments coming in and shedding some insight onto the games. It was really appreciated. I learnt a lot, and that was won by Memphis. Again, spoiler, lol. I'll put a spoiler up on screen.
You got a spoiler alert afterwards.
Ron killed Dumbledore. Spoiler. I don't think that's even true, actually. But yeah, Memphis was just looking very similar to Vu, actually, but like on the EU side, just completely dominant. I'm not sure he dropped a single game. He might have done once, but
have we seen those guys play each other, Vu and Memphis?
Not on same ping, I don't think. We might have seen them play. I think they've played together, but I don't think they played on stream or anything kind of official. I might be wrong about that, but not that I'm aware of. But yeah, it'd be great to see those two like on LAN together. That'd be incredible. And then in second we had Gaia, which is a very solid CPMA player, and Tripwire, who apparently is from a game called Warsaw, if you wouldn't believe it. And he's just looking so strong for someone who's not necessarily like as ingrained in the CPMA / Reflex community as some of the other players. I think he's kind of a little bit like Guilt on the NA side. He's kind of a little bit newer to it, and he's just. I might be wrong, actually. He might be like a complete veteran in Warsaw, but I know in CPMA he wasn't a name. So yeah, that was really cool. And again, some really great games. Same kind of problem with the final, where like the winner was just so far ahead that the other players kind of just like didn't stand a chance. But Tripwire and Gaia was a really good series.
You said Gaia again.
People shout when I said Gaia, people are like, oh, you said Gaia. When I said Gaia, people are like, oh, you said Gaia. So it's impossible to win. Yeah, it was a great series. You definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's really nice to see BOXR doing all this stuff.
Yeah, Nathan is doing the production for it, and obviously I don't see the production because I'm casting, but from what I hear, like people really seem to be enjoying the production value. Everything just being a little bit tighter than when people try to kind of do it themselves. It's nice to have like someone with that experience doing it, so that's great. And he's looking to do more CTF stuff in the future when that comes out. And also the hood was done by Quarks, and I think that's getting a bit of an update before it gets released live to the public. So yeah, nice job on Quarks on the hood. What do we have next? And last in the tournament news, we have the UT4 CTF Showmatch. So for the first time outside of the actual UT devs showing off UT in any way, we had Owned Well, which is a new, I don't know if it's a company, but it's like an organisation. Yeah, last night they were just doing a UT4 Showmatch, and I only caught the first 20 minutes of it or so, because I had to go do some Reborn stuff, or Diabotical even. But yeah, it was Team Cafe and Team Zyos, and yeah, Team Zyos seemed to be pretty dominant, actually winning 4 maps over to 1 of Team Cafe. And the maps they were playing was Pistola, Grendel Keep, Cynoshore, Titan Pass, and Ascantine.
Don't try.
No, I can't. I'll put it on the screen and be like, oh, yeah, that's a map. Yeah.
I say this every time, but this is exactly what they should be doing. Because now, you know, there's 2 teams now. People know roughly how good those teams are. Another team can come along and they can play them, and people will start knowing who's who. You know, get names out there, get a scene forming, because it's a competitive game.
Yeah,
It's weird that they've waited this long.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the spec tools weren't ready enough, or I don't know. I'm not encroached enough in the development of the game to know exactly every detail, but it was good. From what I saw, the commentators were Mess, which was I think he did a lot of UT99 commentating. And,
yeah, I've seen him commentating some UT4 duels as well. It's quite good.
I say commentating. I think casting's probably more accurate, but anyway. Yeah, he's really good. And the incredible Paco and some guy called Margins are the team. And yeah, go over to ownedwell.com. It looks like they're focusing on UT in terms of casting and doing tournaments for it. And definitely going to check that out more in the future, because it kind of came up a little bit out of the blue. I didn't see any tweets or anything about it. And suddenly suddenly I was on like UT stream and there was like 80 people watching it. It's like, oh wow, okay, there's an event going on. So yeah, looks really cool, and I can't wait for more stuff from them in the future. Last up, we have the Map Spotlight, which is for this week DM-RGB, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's using a brand new kind of movement technique in UT called wall running, and for those of you who don't know, it allows you to run along a wall, which is fairly self-explanatory. But we played a couple of duels on it, and I'm not sure it's actually a duel map. And when I was watching the community spotlight, they said it's definitely designed as more of a spotlight for that type of movement rather than a really hardcore competitive map. But I really like it from a design perspective, that it's just so different to anything we've seen in any UT game before, which is why I wanted to kind of spotlight it.
Yeah, I've already expressed my love of wall slides in this video, but I think I saw some footage of people who are better at UT movement than we are, just like sliding around the little slopes and covering tons of distance and shooting down as they slide. It just looks so cool.
Yeah, it's just a really unique map, and I really like where they're going with it, and I think using some of those aspects, but not necessarily quite so heavy-handedly in other maps that they develop in the future, might be quite cool. So just from like a purely kind of movement design perspective, it's great, and I played some Instagib on it as well, which is really fun. Just people kind of sliding all around their shop and like firing these crazy Instagib rifles and one-shots everywhere. So yeah, that was fun. So yeah, definitely check out UT and have a look at this map. It's a really fun one, and I hope in like all these games we start to see maps designed around unique features, just to really push the movement to its limits and see what exactly you can do with that kind of thing. Even if that means in the future map designs are scaled back a little bit. But kind of, I think unless you push something right to its logical conclusion of how much more sliding you can put in a game, then you'll never know what you can actually do with it when you do it sensibly in the future. Okay, so yeah, that's the news for the week, or the last 2 weeks. We anticipate a big news show coming up in a couple of weeks' time, when there's a Quake Live patch due very soon and a Reflex patch. So that's going to be really exciting. But yeah, thanks for watching. I usually don't ask, but it seems to be doing pretty well at the moment. So if you guys want to like subscribe to the YouTube and check over at the Twitch, where I'm doing an evening with Galanguar quite often these days, which is basically me just streaming some Reflex and UT and Diabotical and Quake Live with my friends and having a fun
It's very
time.
sophisticated.
Yeah, it's just just general Twitch streaming nonsense, but it's quite nice just to kind of keep a bit of a presence on Twitch when I'm not doing tournaments on there. But yeah, check that out. Go follow us and check it out. So thanks for watching, and we'll have more content for you very soon.